Hey everyone, welcome to Monday Magic. I'm just getting set up here. I want to give you a chance to go get a cup of tea or coffee. I have some herbs from my garden that were left over in this wonderful color changing mug. Check it out. The cat is it's spooky. It's from the David T. Halloween collection. And I love it because it's black, and then everywhere it gets hot, there's like color, and it's gorgeous. And I've got some of my Home Does It dehydrated lemon and lime wedges in there. I've got a bit of a spring altar here going on just for this call. There's some candles. We've got some crystals. I cleared this space with blue sage. You can adopt that for your own space, or you can take time to clear the space yourselves. I also, because I'm feeling spring, I've got these gorgeous broad beans. They're purple and they're massive, like they're really big. And Olivia and I planted them last year, and we planted 7 beans. That's it. So we got like 7 bean stalks, right? And out of that 7 beans, we probably harvested a couple hundred. And then this year, we planted them all along the front of our yard. They create these gorgeous red flowers that the bees and the hummingbirds just adore. So today, what I said in a post earlier, what I'd like to do is I'm going to share a quote from the book that I'm reading right now. I'd like to do my normal, usual pulling cards for the week to set the intention and the mood for the week. And then I want to lead us in a bit of a ritual. If you're familiar with me, rituals are very simple. They're not, don't have the time, the attention span, or the patience for long, drawn-out rituals unless it's a special occasion. Just like you, I have a life to live, and part of modern magic, modern witchcraft, if that feels like a good label to you, but part of modern magic and modern spirituality is learning how to incorporate traditional practices and new practices into your already existing life. So, for me, making tea or making coffee can become and is a ritual. So we'll visit that in a little bit once a few more people come on. If you have questions for me or for the cards, please tune in tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Pacific time for Tarot Tuesday, or I'm always available to purchase a direct reading. So, what do the cards have to tell us today? We're using the Lightseers Tarot deck, which is freaking gorgeous. Okay. Clear some space. Oh, that came up last week. Ooh, beautiful. All right. We have those. And it would probably help if I put my headphones on so you could actually hear me. Hey, rip. Okay, so sorry if you couldn't hear me very well before. I totally forgot I had plugged in my headphones. We're all about authenticity here. I just don't want you to hear the washing machine and the dryer because they're loud as F. And then what wisdom does the universe have for us from this deck? Now, this deck was created from the words and inspiration of the same person whose book I'm going to quote from today. Okay, I honor how I want to feel. That is in perfect theme with what I want to talk about today. So is this card. It's almost as if the universe knows what's up. Okay, Temperance. We saw this yesterday. This can be balance. It can be your light and your dark. It can also represent choices, neither one being right or wrong, and you having to decide which is more important to you and which to focus your energy on. It can represent patience, waiting for something to occur or to happen or growth, etc. I want you to think about what situations in your week that are impatient for you, or where you might tend to go overboard or indulge or jump to conclusions or anything like that. The universe is asking you to take a split second to lean in and to listen to what the most balanced, nurturing, honoring, loving response might be. So moving from a place of reactiveness to responsiveness. And we can talk more about that if you would like. And also, the World card came up. So I absolutely adore this card, okay? This card is like the fruition of a journey. It's things coming to a close, but in a good way. Things that we have worked towards, which makes sense. We're coming out of winter. We're coming into spring. It's starting to warm up. A lot of us have been pouring our energies into getting healthier emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We have been cutting out the things that no longer serve us because we really don't have the space for them anymore. If anything has taught us how to cut the things that are no longer useful, that are leaking our energy, it has been the last 12 and a half months. Am I right? Okay. So with that in mind, the world, this is a complete spiritual, emotional up level. All things are at your fingertips. You merely have to access the knowledge within you to progress, to cultivate those desires. It's not a name it, claim it in the sense of you don't have to work for it, but it's right there. You basically, it's like you have all these paths in front of you. All of them are amazing, good paths, and you just have to commit to one and go for it because you have unlimited potential. And as long as you're balancing, it'll all work out wonderfully. Followed by the King of Cups, which I absolutely adore. This card represents emotions no longer holding sway over us, being completely in touch with our feelings, our memories, our wants, our desires. If something intense comes up, we don't panic. We stop, pause, acknowledge the feeling without judgment, discern whether or not it's a warning or a fear or joy or excitement, anticipation. The funny thing is like, as an anxiety sufferer, as a person who has lived with an anxiety disorder their entire life, excitement and fear look and feel a lot the same. My body, my brain, my blood pressure, all of those things cannot tell the difference physiologically between excitement and fear. So learning how to master my emotions and identify them, identifying what my triggers are, and practicing meditation, for me, this is like something that has worked wonders. Learning what style of meditation works for me, practicing all those things helps me to not get rickrolled every time something intense happens now. And it's this marvelous sort of thing together. So all of those things together, and by all means, if you're popping in after the card reading, go back and rewatch it after it posts. All of those things together, the theme for this week is I honor how I want to feel. If you don't have a cup of tea or a glass of water or a coffee, grab one, because we're going to do a ritual in a few minutes that only takes like no time, just to hone in on this whole message. All right, so the book that I'm reading right now is Judgment Detox by Gabrielle Bernstein. She is the author and creator of this deck and The Universe Has Your Back book, which I highly recommend reading. So I just want to read, it's like a page and a half, but the text is really large, so it won't take that long, of this book. And then, let's talk about it throughout the week. Let's hold it in our mind. Let's think about what judgment means to us after this, okay? So judgment is an addictive pattern. It is an addiction response to deep-rooted trauma. The first trauma in our lives is separation from love. From a spiritual perspective, it's choosing fear and separation over love, and this dissociates us from our own personal truth, like who we are, how we be, what we are meant to be in this world, how loved and precious, etc. we are. We become fragmented in this state of separation, and we lose our connection to our inner being. So if you've ever felt like floaty and lost or anxious, or where do I belong? What's my purpose in life? That's like basic humanity 101. In this disconnected state, we inadvertently turn our back on our inner being and becomes obsessed with an outward projection of who we think we are. Feelings of guilt and sadness wash over us because deep down, we know we've turned our back on love. But we can't fully understand our guilt, so we do whatever we can to avoid feeling it. And this is how the cycle of judgment becomes an addictive pattern. As someone who's come out of addiction, this speaks volumes to me, and most recently conquered my food addiction and my Netflix numbing the pain addiction, okay? So I just swapped one for another. And this nails it on the head. When we avoid our guilt and suffering by projecting it onto others, it's a way of numbing out. Like any good drug, judgment will anesthetize our pain and redirect our focus. It can even give us a high. Gossip is a great example. Whenever you get together with friends to talk about another person in a judgmental way, you're avoiding your own core wounds. You're using judgment as a drug to numb your pain and get high off of someone else's. Gossip is especially nasty because it gives us the illusion that we're bonding with others, when instead we're all banding together to heap all of our pain on another person. Gossiping can give us a buzz because it provides a temporary relief from self-judgment and attack. And this is the same thing is true of eating high sugary foods, high fatty foods, high salty foods. They give us a temporary relief of the dopamine buzz where we feel good. So we reinforce the behavior that we don't want to do by giving it the hormonal tricks, right? So it's not as easy as just quitting some of this stuff, right? We repeat the self-judgment story on a loop all day long. I'm not good enough. Why did I make that mistake? I'm ugly. I'm not smart enough, and so on. These self-inflicted behaviors are just another form of addiction. We unconsciously choose to judge rather than feel the pain beneath our wounds. But notice, she said, our self-judgmental story is played on a loop. That's because it leads absolutely nowhere. Getting on the path to healing requires feeling the discomfort, which is tied to a point I made last week where the only way through the muck is through the muck, right? We perceive ourselves as the victim of the world we see. Judging ourselves as the victim feels safer than facing our wounds, and this is how it becomes an addiction. The addictive pattern is further fueled by our denial. We long to feel better, but deny that judgment is the problem. In fact, we see judgment as the solution, the way of protecting ourselves. Our unconscious belief system keeps us stuck in this judgment cycle because we're terrified of feeling our own pain and suffering. And we use the judgment to protect ourselves. So, there's so much more to that, and I highly recommend this book. I got it from the library. So I'm deep diving into there. Learning how much of my judgment on others is just a judgment of myself. We know anecdotally that the things we don't like in other people are the things we don't like in ourselves, but we don't realize that every single time we don't respond in love to someone, every single time, it's because we're separated from love, the universe, God, spirituality, source, whatever you want to call it, and we're operating out of a place of judgment, out of a place of superior morality, out of a place of you're annoying me and therefore I'm better than you. But why is it bothering you? Why does someone else's mode of operation bug you? Why do we get so emotionally painful for something that has absolutely nothing to do with us, except that it triggers something within us and we don't want to look at it, right? So that's what we're here to do. In order to help others, in order to have the best life we possibly can, we have to deal with all of those triggers. So honor how you want to feel instead of responding with how you should. So if you're watching the playback, now is the time to grab your tea. If you're here now, I used herbal tea. So if you're using herbal tea or you're using coffee, all of those things come from a plant. So I want you to think about the coffee plant or the tea plant. If it's comfortable for you, close your eyes. Hold your cup in your hands. If it's an insulated mug, maybe it feels cold to the touch. If it's a ceramic mug like this one, it'll feel warm. I want you to feel that warmth and imagine and visualize that warmth as an energy source, which it is. Heat is an energy source. Give it a color. I'm choosing orange, and I can feel the orange color going into my hands and up through my arms and into my heart and all through my body. I'm connected to the source of water, the source of herbal medicine, the source of things that grew in nature and lived up through the sun, feeding them with their roots deep down in the soil. And now they have come to my cup through cultivation to bring me joy, because I love the smell of tea, to bring me health as they help with my allergy season, and to just bring me pleasure, because there's nothing wrong with pleasure. Now, I want you to think of something this week that you would like to grow in. Got it in your mind? Say it out loud if you know what it is, or journal it if you're in a place where it's be awkward to just totally say something personal out loud. Take a sniff of your tea or coffee. And again, I will allow growth and good things in my life without judgment, without editing, without fear. And drink your tea. Rituals can be that simple. You can imbue a thought or a feeling or something into an object. So in this case, it's my tea. By drinking this whole tea, I'm physically embodying the area of growth that I would like in my life. So for me, it's to get out of my comfort zone and not worrying about being like super master expert level on every area of knowledge that I have, because this is a human journey and it's going to take me a little bit longer than 35 years to become expert level at everything, correct? So take that with you today. If you have any simple rituals you're doing today, please share them in the group. I love to see what everyone is getting up to. Let me know how you're implementing little bits of magic in your day today. Also, I have an exciting, amazing, insane sale for the next 10 days. And I want you to check it out if that feels good to you. You can check it out on my Instagram, the Cheryl Folland, or I made a post earlier today. And if any of that feels good to you, just send me a message and we'll get you set up. For now, I'm going to finish drinking my tea and do the dishes because I love Olivia and I promised her I would get the kitchen clean before the end of the day. Love you all. Embrace your inner magic. Okay, take care of yourselves. Bye for now.